I feel like we should have a little fanfare app, boys, because we're doing a transfer section first of all for the first time in weeks. The reason we haven't touched it before is because a lot of it is just hot air, isn't it? Talking about names that we don't really know much about. We could find out about, but frankly, I find it a little bit tiresome doing all this research. You know what it was? It was is it Maxi Gomez? That was his name, wasn't it? Was he the striker we were trying to sign?
Yeah.
All that season. Remember, James, me and you in the Love Sport Radio studios in Southwark every Tuesday. I did loads of detailed research on him. You know, how much is he going to cost? What's he going to do for us in the box and all this and that. And it rumbled on and on for weeks, didn't it? And then he just disappeared and went to wherever he ended up going to. Was it Valencia he went to, or were we trying to sign him from Valencia?
I can't remember. He went somewhere else though in Spain, I think.
Yeah, I was trying to erase that from my memory anyway. And since then, I thought that's me done for transfers, not into this stuff anymore. And my favourite phrase, Jonesy, as you all know, just show me the picture when they're holding the shirt up with the West Ham shirt, the claret blue. Show me it then I'll find out all I need to know about them. Till then, not usually that interested. However, this week, thank goodness, we've got not one, but two new signings to talk about. We obviously bought Areola in earlier in the summer, which was one that puzzled a few fans, but good to have a good backup. And 1,700 goalkeepers on the books can never be a bad thing, can it? But we're all agreed that we need a centre mid, a centre back, and a centre forward during this window, and we've certainly pulled in a centre back in Kurt Zouma, deal for just under 30 million quid for the Frenchman from Chelsea. That is absolutely brilliant. Alex Kral from Spartak Moscow, I believe, is that one sort of on the verge of being done. We're expecting that to be signed, sealed, and delivered tonight. If that all falls through, obviously forgive us when you're listening to the podcast. And Nikola Vlasic signed from CSKA Moscow, Croatian international, attacking midfielder, perhaps / striker. Perhaps we don't need one of those, but lads, it's good stuff. Whatever happens, we were on the verge of moaning about it, and we were all concerned, it's fair to say, but we did say, look, there's plenty of time left. It's a slow burning window, and West Ham have gone and spent upwards or nearly 60 million quid if all the add-ons and stuff are hit, but at least 50 million pounds. Everyone laughing at reports from Jim White or whoever saying when David Sullivan come out and said we've got 45, 50 million to spend. Well, it appears that some of that money has been spent. I'm not saying it's a perfect window and that we couldn't still do more, but I would say, James, I'll start with you. It's great on the pitch at the moment, and I feel reasonable, pretty decent about it, what we've done off the pitch so far.
Mate, I think it's ended really, really positively over the last 72 hours or so.
I will note that's probably because the bar was so low, isn't it?
Yeah, that's very
other
true,
than nothing was quite
very true. But you've already said that there were three key positions that we needed to fill. We've definitely filled one of them. One looks like it's on its way, should be announced imminently, and we've still got the striker to come in. Doesn't look like it's going to happen now, but bringing Vlasic in does offer a possibility of perhaps Bowen playing there a little bit more in Antonio's absence if he gets injured, and maybe even Vlasic playing there as a false nine. I don't know. So far, two confirmed and very, very good signings, and if Kral comes in, for me, that looks like it could be another steal. I think it's 12 million quid. It's a loan with a view to buy for 12 million, rising to 17. It's a very similar deal to the Souček one. He didn't have a great Euros. Didn't get many minutes. But
people were expecting more, weren't they?
Yeah, this was a deal that we were led to believe was done before the Euros had even started, and then Spartak said, actually, no, we want to hold off until after the Euros because if he has a blinder, then we could sell him for a little bit more. He didn't have a blinder, and then we thought, well, the deal's gone now because maybe the club had been put off. But looks like they've gone in for him, and it looks like it's going to be a West Ham player. And regardless whether he had a bad Euros or not, I trust David Moyes' judgment here. Absolutely. And it's in a position that we needed cover for. It's allowed Connor Coventry to go out on loan to Peterborough, get some, much needed first team football, because if Kral didn't come in, then we probably would have needed him as cover. So it's a good deal all round. It's like it's another bit of shrewd business from David Moyes. And if you add Vlasic to
And the
the deal,
club, like
and the club,
you've got to say it. That's 30
of
million.
course.
It's not David Moyes' money, is it? To be
Yeah, of
fair,
course. Yeah, absolutely. But then if you look at the Vlasic and Zouma, the fees that we paid for these two players are a lot less than you would expect given today's market. I mean, Zouma is a Champions League France international, playing for the European champions, and he's gone for less than 30 million quid.
yeah, the world
Vlasic,
champions, isn't it?
Croatia international, had a very, very good Euros, and he's gone for less than 30 million quid. So you look at it and go, actually, we've done some incredible business. And if you see a lot of people that what have seen a lot of Vlasic, particularly in the last couple of years, they're going, how have West Ham got this player? He is a really, really exciting player, but we're led to believe. I haven't watched a lot of him. I only remember him for his.
Do you not watch much of the Russian Premier League?
Oh, I can't say I do. No, mate, I can't say I do. But he's. I
thought you
mean,
were a massive Vladivostok fan.
he's yeah. He flopped at Everton, didn't he? But he was quite young then. But he's grown into a very good player. I was watching some YouTube clips of him earlier.
Of course you were.
As you do,
fallen into the trap.
On a new side.
YouTube makes anyone look like Lionel Messi, doesn't it? So I thought I'll give that a go, and he does look pretty good actually. So not quite on Messi's level, but he'll do.
No, well, 23 years old he is, like you say. When he was at Everton, he was still a teenager, and he did struggle. But whatever. He's 23 years old. He's on a 5-year deal. I understand there's an option for an extra year at the end of it. I mean, 26 million quid, I believe, is the upfront fee, and understand that it's an extra 7 million in if all the add-ons and all that sort of stuff are hit. 26 Croatia caps. Croatia, a decent international outfit as well. You've got to be no slouch to get in there. Yeah, and I think in a weird way, I don't want to jump too soon, but I get the impression that he's an attacking midfielder who slots in to play up front quite comfortably if needed to. And I think that solves that Antonio conundrum to an extent, because let's be honest, we've all done it. We're all screaming for a new striker, weren't we? But similar to Tottenham with Kane, I'm not saying he's as good, obviously, but it's a similar situation, is it? West Ham's a hard sell to a centre forward, isn't it? It's like, do you want to come play for us? Okay, yeah. Who's your striker at the moment? Antonio. Oh, he's brilliant. He gets in all the time, doesn't he? Yeah, he does. Yeah, he's really good. How many strikers do you play with? One. All right. So, I'm getting him when he's injured, am I? Yeah, pretty much. Although he does get injured loads, but you know what I mean? It's a difficult sell, isn't it? So I think having someone who bit of like a Jota vibes at Liverpool, who can play in that, call it a false nine, but basically plays up front or in midfield, I think that solves that quite nicely. I think that could be a really shrewd bit of business, and we're in a situation where we've got 3 of those attacking midfield positions as well. So, a little bit of rotation. You're not going to upset too many people if they have to miss a game here or there. If you rotate out Bowen or Fornals, or even Ben Rama can move out on the wing, it just feels quite fluid. And I certainly like that signing. The Kurt Zouma one already feels like a bit of an old one. I don't know if either of you saw it, by the way. Did you see Oh, you did, James. I saw it from your Twitter. The video that West Ham posted to announce Zouma was going to play number 4. With that
Absolute
sand
class.
thing.
Yeah,
Class.
That was mind-blowing. I've watched that about 18 times.
Yeah, so good.
It's absolutely phenomenal. If you haven't, do go on to West Ham's official Twitter and look at the number reveal. It's hard to explain, Jones, isn't it? They're like pouring coloured sand into this bowl and then managed to draw Zuma's shirt and shirt number. But yeah, that was, I mean,
the level of detail. They even get like the Premier League badge in there on the number and stuff.
Scope markets, like on the sleeves and all that.
Madness.
On the side of the shirt as well.
Yeah. I think they did start doing it, to be fair, like January. I reckon we tried to sign him in Jan and thought, no, we're never going to finish this thing, so you'll have to come in August. But that's what do you make of that, Reece? I think obviously we've touched on it already, but I make James right about the fee. 30 million quid, or 29.8, I think it is. Young, vibrant, decent player. Was fairly regular at Chelsea, wasn't he? Last season. I know Tuchel's come in and he's sort of seen less game time under him, But he was class at Chelsea, wasn't he, under Lampard, and dangerous going forward. It seems like an absolute blinding bit of business.
I'm quite surprised. Not obviously I don't know what happens, but I'm surprised Chelsea have done business with us as well. If you know what I mean, I thought they'd certainly move him abroad or anything like that if he was available. So for that money, it's the problem you saying about the market earlier, Jonesy, was that if you dip into the Championship or anywhere in the Prem, if they're not a British sort of nationality, you're straight away talking 40 million. You know, and I think that's the problem. That's the problem with the centre forward. If you wanted to get someone back up to Antonio from over here, you know, they're talking about the lad from Blackburn. He was always on the radar, wasn't he, at the end of last season?
Adam Armstrong, yeah.
Southampton, didn't he? So he'll probably score next week. You know, it's that for once, it's nice if it does pan out nice with Zouma that we pay good money. We haven't been hauled over the coals for it. And, you know, I'm more than happy as a club that we've paid that sort of money for him. Vlasic, again, you know, I mentioned it earlier about not knowing a lot about him. He was
Don't
very
say that, James. James was watching him on YouTube, Reece. We're fine.
I can assure you, Reece, he's good.
Yeah,
he's good.
Although I did read earlier that apparently he takes a good free kick and a good penalty. So people that do that who know my Sunday league sort of attributes, that he can be a star. So
he's a Croatian Reece Bayless, is he?
Yeah, and we've obviously got Croatian links from over the years. So, you know, hopefully he's spoken to a few ex-players, maybe Slav. You know, and we'll give him and we'll give him as much chance as he sort of can have.
It's good stuff, mate. And look, I think we've done the positive bit, definitely. Do you think, Jonesy, that it's petulant, or I don't know what the word is, petulant or ungrateful or whatever, to still be calling for more? Or do you think that's just because we're desperate for West Ham to compete on all fronts this season? Because I am delighted, and I was semi-joking, but I think because I had a genuine fear and semi-expectation that we were going to get no one, and we were going to have the vitriol on Twitter, and we were going to end up having to do a negative podcast because it was stuff that needed to be said. We did need to make these signings. Simon Jordan made an excellent point on Talk Sport today, and Jim White was sort of doing as usual and trying to bang the drum, excuse me. Didn't bang the trumpet. I don't know anyone who's ever banged a trumpet, but he was banging the drum about, you know, what great signings these are. And we've just done the same. They are brilliant signings. And Simon Jordan went, yeah, but they're doing what owners of clubs who have said they want to they're going to be regularly in the top 6. They're doing what owners of clubs who've said that have to do. So let's just, it's good. It is good business. It seems like good business. Well done. But it's nothing over and above what the fans deserve or what backup promises they've made to the fans in the past, is it? So, you know, and on that note, Jonesy, me sort of the little feeling in me that goes, that is brilliant, a little bit concerned it's not quite enough, or it's not enough to be perfect, put it that way. What do you make of that? Because that is a underlying feeling I've got, but does not take away from what I think is excellent business, particularly if we get Kral.
Yeah, I can see where you're coming from. I think it's only natural to have that feeling when, as we've already established, there isn't a striker that's come in the football club. Now, Vlasic might be out to play there.
Since January.
Bowen might be out to play there. So, yeah, we might have options, but we haven't signed an out-and-out striker in this window or the last window. And I think that's probably, I mean, I do feel, although we have done really, really good business, particularly over the last 72 hours or so, but it'd feel a lot better if we did have just a proper natural goal striker in there, just so that we know that we've got that natural striker as backup, rather than having to hope that David Moyes can work his magic again with a player and adapting his position like he did with Arnautovic before, and making that work. But if David Moyes is happy with what the business he's done and that's it, after Kral, then, as I've already said, I absolutely have 100% faith in him and the business he's done, because there isn't a single transfer he's made that he's got wrong since he come back to the club. And So he deserves all the trust and faith from the fans to have got it right. And then it's only 3 months until the next window opens, and we can do this all over again and moan come the end of January when a striker still hasn't been signed.
Yeah. But no, you're right, mate. And I think, to be honest, on that note, David Moyes definitely deserves our patience now. But he's also due a duffer. If one of them doesn't go right, that's okay as well. And he's due a bit of slack if one of these players doesn't work out. Particularly with Zouma, I'll be surprised if that happens. If Vlasic doesn't work,
we are due one of those, by the way. This is very unlike West Ham.
You're talking about we're due one of those. We've just got rid of Haller and Anderson. We can't be due another one for about 5 years.
It's very unlike West Ham to have just a consistent run of just very, very good additions to the ssquad. Like it's been it's 8 or 9 in a row now. I mean, we're due a dud soon.
Maybe that is true, mate. Right, lads, just before we sort of wrap this up, we'll go as well on the outgoings, of course. Mipo de Becco's extended his deal by a year and gone out to Huddersfield on loan, which is again positive business by the club, giving him room to develop and also enabling by extending his deal beyond next season. So he currently now has 2 years left on his deal. Going out to Huddersfield on loan for next season. Basically, if he makes it, but he's not quite good enough for West Ham, we guarantee ourselves a bit of money. Or if not, we can bring him back in for a year and then see how he gets on in the team. So good business there. I think Connor Coventry to Peterborough, that is confirmed, James, I believe, isn't it?
Yeah, it's confirmed. He went a couple of hours ago. That was announced. So yeah, he's gone to Peterborough.
Yeah, that was again on that one. I think I'd have quite liked to have seen him involved this season. He's looked decent in pre-season. He looked good coming on in the cups, the League Cup. I'd have liked to have seen that perhaps. But again, if game time's what Moyes thinks, are you sort of on the same page as me, lads, on that one?
He did say that he was that he wanted to give him regular game time by sending him out on loan if he couldn't find cover. Yeah. It looks like he's got cover with Kral. But the big thing about these 2 loan deals is that they've included an option to cut the loan deal short in January.
Yes, January Blake. Again, that's excellent business, isn't it?
Yeah, both of them. So, if we are short or they do have blinders and we think, we can bring them in for the second half of the season, then we can do that. And that's, we never do that, do we? So, yeah, it's good to see.
Yeah, I definitely credit where it's due on those 2, because we've said enough negative things on the podcast, as everyone has, when negative things are there to be said, but make sure we say the positives as well. They sound like good business. Lads, the Jesse Lingard deal, I've never really felt that he was coming back. James, I heard you on TalkSport 2 on Tuesday morning saying that, about him coming home and all that sort of thing, Jesse Lingard.
I don't think I said that.
Words to that effect, mate. I remember cringing, whatever it was you said. But Reece, the Vlasic signing, as good as kills that, I think Solskjaer's been sort of making noise that he wants to stay. I understand sort of Lingard. I heard it on TalkSport. Jim White said that a member of his family was appealing to him to stay in Manchester and that Lingard took that into account. So that's not me saying that. It's from Jim White. On TalkSport, I heard that. But the general consensus, sort of my understanding of it, is that Lingard was neither here nor there, really. He enjoyed himself at West Ham last season. He also loves Manchester United. He's on £140,000 a week. He's got a year left on that deal at Manchester United. He was sort of in a position where he didn't really have to or feel the need to pin his flag to a mast, and he was quite happy to let United decide, and it just sort of seems that as things have developed that he's going to be staying put, and West Ham, not wanting to be caught cold, didn't want to rely on it too much, have gone out and got Vlasic, which is good. How do you see that Lingard situation, and what are you sort of left feeling after it looks like, we won't be getting him back?
Obviously the time he had at us was superb. I'm a bit of a believer that I think if he'd actually made the Euros full squad, I think that may have given him a bit more of a chance to sign for us. To think that he's actually made. Yeah, I do believe that. I'm not saying because he was cut that was it. He's like, I'm not signing for West Ham, but I think it was one of them things. The more it was dragging out, if there was a deal to be done, I think it should have been done as soon as possible, after that the last game of the season. But my only thing with it, I'd love to have him back. I thought it was brilliant for us. Where does it put, say, Ben Rama? Would Lingard
totally
straight back into the starting 11? So he obviously wasn't. He's a Manchester lad. He's playing with great players up there. He might be happy to try and force his way into the team. So, you've obviously got January. That could still happen. I don't think he'll ever go on a free transfer. I do think he'll sign a new deal at Man United, even if it's a 1 year, because they might have thought there might have been a lot more interest around it to get a few quid. So I'm disappointed he hasn't come back, but we've only got to look back and thank him what he done. And again, we have seen that over the years. So it's time to move on, and hopefully we'll be looking back going, we didn't need him.
Yeah, totally. And I genuinely do feel like that. Ben Rama's performances so far, I loved him when he was here, but it'd have been different if he was coming out saying, I really want to go back to West Ham. West Ham's where I want to be. And then it hadn't come to fruition. You'd have thought, that's a shame. But he obviously enjoyed himself. He wasn't desperate to come back and play. Ben Rama is desperate to make an impact on West Ham, and we're seeing that in his performances. Bought in Vlasic. Hopefully he can be decent backup and maybe even work his way into the team. But I don't think West Ham are a particularly weaker side without Lingard now. So that's no problem. Lads, before we wrap up this one, Nicholas Tagliafico is a left back from Ajax. We were interested, then we weren't. About a 12 million quid deal, Argentine. I understand that his agent was touting him around lots of different places in Europe. So, and West Ham sort of backed off of that. I think The Athletic reported this morning or yesterday saying that, West Ham were interested for a bit and then they weren't. That seemed like an odd one because of Aaron Cresswell. But just to wrap this section up, an interesting take I've heard this week, or especially as the West Ham have kicked themselves into action transfer-wise. Pi Capital, we obviously had Tony Cotti on for a couple of podcasts recently. They came out and released a statement that said, until the transfer window's done, we're going to keep quiet in order to let the club do any business they might need to do. But we're still intent on doing our deal afterwards. That we'll cover that when it comes up, no doubt. It's probably a chat for another week, that, because nothing much has really happened since we had Tony on that side of things other than that statement. A thought process or a train of thought that Pi Capital's existence and this bid has put a rocket up the backsides of West Ham's owners, particularly if they're not willing to sell, in that, we need to do a bit here. What do you make, Reece? I'll go to you first. What do you make of that thought process that perhaps, whether or not it comes off or not, just the existence of Pi Capital's bid has given Gold Sullivan and Brady, particularly David Sullivan, a kick up the backside?
I don't, to be honest, mate. I don't think it has. I think the players that we've ended up getting, I know it has been late, of obviously Moyes signings, but I've read it. I think it was last week or before, and someone said you wouldn't spend loads of money on your house if you're going to sell it, if it's already sold, sort of thing. So I just think that they needed to put some investment in. There probably will be pressure, but listening to obviously Tony Cotty's podcast on Here With You and all the outside bits, I don't think it's fully firm that everyone's going to be behind this bid. So, I think it's probably, hopefully we've ended up with a good window. And then if there is some news to come with the takeover, then, hopefully it'll be even better news.
Yeah. Jonesy, sort of same thought process here, or do you think there's any legs in what I said originally?
No, I agree with Reece. I don't think...
I think you're talking out of your backside, Will, actually.
Yeah, pretty much, mate. No, I just think that it was business that West Ham and the owners needed to do, regardless of whether there was a takeover bid or not. It's well-known fact. And I can't imagine David Moyes would have accepted the line, "Oh, sorry, mate, we can't. We're not going to buy any players, or we're only going to buy players now because someone's trying to buy us beforehand, but not." So I don't think there's much in it. I think it was just whether they were being a little bit slow to the action, and now they've finally got their deals done, or whether it's just these deals have just taken longer than anticipated. I don't know, but I don't think the takeover talk's got anything to do with it.
No, fair enough, mate. Well, look, lads, it's been positive stuff so far. Not perfect, I don't think, because I think there would be certainly room for one or two more additions. It's only 8 o'clock on Tuesday night as we record this, so by the time you hear us, we may have signed another 2 or 3, and we're definitely going to win the Europa League then. But certainly, as I think so many fans' expectations were so low, the business we have done, both incoming and outgoing, with the guys, the young, promising lads heading out on loan. All pretty positive stuff. So just quickly, I'm going to go 8 out of 10. Quick rating, as we call it at the moment, 8 o'clock on Tuesday night for the window so far, Reece.
A strong 7.
Strong 7. Jonesy, decimal points are allowed.
All right. 7.6.
7.6. All right, then. Yeah, fair enough. Well, positive stuff all round. Anyway, lads, fingers crossed we get to see those players in action on that Southampton game. And we get 1 or 2 more, particularly Alex Kral, over by the end of tonight. Great.